Good morning. Questions?
Kevin, what do you two games against the Jaguars this year? In terms of maybe interest in the needs on your team?
Well, really, when you think about the two games with the Jaguars, and I've told their personnel this, they played an extremely good game, much better than we did, and they deserved to win in both cases. So you look at each game individually, and most recent, of course, was the loss in the playoffs, and we were out-physicaled defensively. Their offense did a great job of running the ball on us, keeping us off balance. We made some mistakes in the secondary, which, again, is to their credit. And they deserved to win and move on, and we didn't. Yeah, every year is a new challenge, and you pick up where you left off probably for about a month or so, and then you get into this process and you realize that everybody's starting 0-0, and what happened last year really is of no significance.
What's the most important quality that you look for when you're scouting or drafting a wide receiver?
Wide receivers, obviously you want big, fast, the ability to get in and out of a break, the ability to catch the ball in competitive situations, the ability to run after the catch, and the ability to block. It's really not that complicated when you boil it down. And they come in all different sizes and shapes, and they have different talents that make them unique amongst themselves. But there's really not one specific pattern we look for. Well, I think he can, maybe build off of what he did last season. He probably exceeded our expectations as a rookie, quite honestly. And now, it's up to him to match the standards that he set for himself last year.
Just going back to the scouting, do you put any more emphasis on hands versus speed, or how do you
No, it really all comes in the same thing. Like I said, you're always going to start off with size, speed, strength, and athleticism, and you look for position specifics beyond that. And the ability to catch, obviously, is a huge component of that, but competitive catchability, the ability to catch when covered or in traffic, because in the NFL you will always be covered and always in traffic if it's not a coverage bust. So you have to have that ability, and only certain guys can do that.
To that point, is there any reason in hindsight you look back at Antonio Brown and assess why he's outperformed his draft status over the years?
Yeah, that's really Antonio outperforming his own standards that he sets every day for himself. That year we drafted Emmanuel Sanders in the 3rd round. We took Antonio in the 6th, and quite honestly, we had the same grades on them. Emmanuel was a little more predictable because he was a senior. He had played in the East-West game. Antonio was an underclassman, kind of late to the party, so to speak. But when we took Antonio, it was just such an obvious pick in the 6th round to go back and take another wide receiver. But once we got him, we could see that he was special. And then the more we worked with him and watched him practice and compete, we knew that this could be something special, which fortunately it's turned out to be.
What gave you that all the time?
When we picked him,
When you saw him in practice,
just the way he was competing and beating our secondary, it was either an indictment of our secondary and an endorsement of Antonio's talents.
Kevin, have the increases in the cap these days, do they make it easier for a team to kind of keep opening the Super Bowl window of opportunity that maybe 10, 15 years ago when the increases weren't quite as big each year?
Yeah, the cap is something that fluctuates, and we still don't even know what the final cap number will be for this year, nor the franchise tags. So we try to guesstimate throughout the process what it may be, and try to work within a realistic expectation, and not if it exceeds our expectation, that's great. But you anticipate it going up. Fortunately, it always has. Does that mean it always will? Of course not. And we have to be ready to adjust whenever it becomes final this year and in the future.
Are there any particular challenges for you that you want that maybe accelerate problems and challenges?
Well, usually if you're fortunate enough to win a Super Bowl, you have good players that are being compensated fairly, and you want to keep those players as long as possible. And of course, you're not going to be able to keep everybody. So again, you try to manage that and finance your own team and keep your own team together as best as possible. But realistically, you're not going to be able to keep 100% of your guys year to year.
Do you recall seeing an off-season like this where there's so many free agent quarterbacks and potential first-round quarterbacks that more get those guys?
Yeah, fortunately for our league, I mean, the quarterback is the most important position, and I agree. Not so much the free agency, because I really can't even address that until they're legal free agents. But the draft, yes, the draft is an intriguing group for college quarterbacks. Now, you have to sort through that group and really make sure that we can predict their ability to succeed in the NFL, because the majority of them are coming from a spread concept, and that lends challenges to us to be able to identify NFL traits within those concepts so that we can maybe make good decisions if we decide to pick a quarterback.
So maybe not needing to take a quarterback on, obviously. How does that help you? There's so many quarterbacks taken.
Well, I mean, whenever there's depth at any position, it helps either if you're taking that position or if you're not interested, other teams taking that position so as to flush players that you're interested in to you. So depth at any position is important. And again, it doesn't mean that we wouldn't take a player just because we have great players, because you can never have enough good players at any position.
This is a hard question to ask and probably answer, but you have to approach this offseason with the mindset of we might not have Ryan Shazier.
Well, Ryan Shazier won't play in 2018. He knows that, and we know that, and we're going to continue to support him in his recovery. So we know that going into this season he won't play, and he'll end up on a different type of list once we get the determination. Once the league starts, we'll designate where he'll end up. So we know that's a challenge because we'll be at 89 players, and fortunately for Ryan, he's covered in that manner that he will be part of our team. Officially and really unofficially, because he's still with us day to day as he rehabs. He involves himself with the team and team issues so that he can be a formidable member in 2018.
How much longer do you expect him to play?
I don't know. I mean, there's no limit on his competitiveness, his wanting to win. Last year he made mention of, okay, maybe it's a year-to-year thing. Fortunately for us, when we lost that game, as disappointed as we were, he came out that night and said that he wants to play. And that gave me a great lift, because I know that the most important position on our team will hopefully be secure for a few more years.
Kevin, can you put your finger on any specific reasons why there seems to be a recent trend of rookie wide receivers drafted on day 2, even later, outperforming the round 1 guys? It seems like 4 or 5 years in a row that's happened.
It might. First of all, there's an inordinate number of receivers, even in this year's draft, that we think are really first, second, third round players. But there's not a great group of easily identifiable franchise type receivers. So I think when they get with their individual teams, the opportunities that they may have, like if a guy came onto our team, it might be harder to play right away. But if another team is in need of a receiver more than we are, then maybe he gets his opportunity quicker and gets the opportunity to grow.
What about Juju specifically last year? What allowed him to come in and have a great rookie season? Do you think maybe guys that are drafted a little bit later, since it's a tough position to master right away, they're feeling a little bit less pressure, and that contributes to early success?
Yeah, again, Juju's a unique personality. It wasn't real big for him. I mean, coming out of USC, he had played in big stadiums in big games. So really coming to the NFL wasn't a huge step for him. And fortunately for us, he performed. And again, he now set a standard for himself that he has to match next year. And we just hope that he can do it. But I don't know if I can really identify one other trait other than he's been in big situations before.
Kevin, just to follow up on that, with receivers in general, what are the greatest challenges of evaluating them for your
I think you have to, again, you're looking for size, speed, and position specifics. You try to take away the easy catches that are, pitch and catch type of things. You hope that they can do that as a minimum. But it's the ability to really make competitive catches, because he's going to have to make those competitive catches in the NFL. and that's a given. So I think you try to take away the given type of abilities that you would hope, as a minimum, they have those abilities.
No one else?
All right, thank you very much.